Right, let's begin with the war against crime as security agencies battle to keep Nigeria safe. The Rivers State Police Command confirmed the death of a wanted cult leader, Gift Okpara, also known as Tubaba, who was declared as the prime suspect in the murder of the Divisional Police Officer of Ahoada Division, Bako Angbashim, in September 2023. Well, the spokesperson of the State Police Command, Grace Iringe-Koko, said intelligence reports revealed that the wanted cultist was killed in a recent joint raid in Idu-Ekpeye community of Ahoada East local government area of the state. BKO, let's start with you on this matter. Looking at how the police were able to get this wanted killers since 2013. No. 2023, apologies, rather. What do you make of the time for them to have gotten up to this point, considering the level of insecurity that the country has experienced in time past?
Most of the time, if you commit armed robbery or any criminal infraction for that matter, and you killed a policeman in the process or some senior policeman, they will get to. They will get done. That's why a lot of us are convinced that the Nigerian police has the capacity to do a lot more than it is doing. I remember some years back when I was still a tabloid editor, some policemen attached to the airport division, they were escorting a bullion van loaded with money, and they put the policemen in a 504 station wagon. There were obviously too many in the car. And when you do that for people who are armed, if they come under attack, they stand no chance of any form of response, because you cram them into the vehicle like sardines. So how do they respond quickly to maybe a hailstorm of arms fire from the enemy? Attack. So they killed those policemen that day. And as we were discussing in our newsroom after the reporter filed the story, we were all convinced that they will get those guys. They will certainly get them. And the police got them. Every one of them. You know, every one of them. And even at that time, some of the technology that we have now, we didn't have. But when the police sets out to do its job, you can count on them. This DPO that they killed was particularly very charismatic, very diligent, very committed to his work. And it was such a tragedy that after he led an operation, to the area where these cultists were operating, they ambushed him, killed him, mutilated his body, and even videoed themselves doing it. No provocation can be bigger than that. And I was hoping that with Disu at the helm of affairs as CP in Rivers, having led the RRS, having led the IRT, the intelligence response team in Abuja, he had the capacity, the experience, and the know-how to get that job done. I knew that they would get these guys. Before now, they got his colleagues. They got them. It was Tubaba that they kept looking for. But I guess it was difficult to catch him alive. And they had to take his life in the course of a raid, which again makes sense. If you cannot get hold of him physically without endangering the lives of your men, you can still take him out. It's accepted, because they too continue to kill our security men as if the lives of our security men don't matter.
Right.
We have to defeat cultism, especially in Rivers State.
And talking about defeating cultism, Adewale, we understand, even though this court leader has been killed, but there are concerns perhaps there could be a successor. But what steps can be taken to perhaps prevent an emergence of new successors in criminal organizations like this?
The first thing we should understand is cultism, violent cultism. We've had organizations in Nigeria that were never violent. But I think it began in the late 80s, partly due to the collapse of public trust in security institutions. Individuals were looking for a kind of a refuge to seek protection. I remember in those days, in the 80s, we had court in our universities and all that, but each time when you want to have demonstrations against government, they will come, and then join until it became violent institutions that, students, individuals who felt that they were looking for justice, they could not get it. They will look for, illegitimate means to seek justice, and sometimes, most of the time, violent means. And now I think it has assumed a life of its own. That is now a major problem across the country. I think it's also compounded by the fact that some of them are also pawns in the political game. They are well connected with political class, especially in the post-1999 years, where you can, unlike now, that you come to power, you can rig election, you can snatch ballot papers. So they were clients to a lot of political actors, especially in Rivers State. They were emboldened by the state, and they became so confident that there's nothing they could do that nobody will be able to arrest them. And you could see in this kind of case that after killing a DPO, he had the confidence to even show the film, because he felt that, look, if it's a matter of, there are godfathers who will be there to always protect him. I think dealing with cultism is an institutional problem, and we need to start from primary and secondary school, and also from the families. People need to be educated to know that if you live by the sword, there is high prospect that you will also die by the sword. And you cannot sustain a life of violence. One day, one time, justice will catch up with you. I cannot recall any violent criminal in the Nigerian history that's never been caught. Whether it's Yenusi, whether it's Anini, they will have a moment of euphoric reign. But after some time, justice will catch up with them. So this is a lesson that our younger people should learn, that you cannot, run violent institutions to intimidate, harass people, kill people. At the end of the day, even with the blood of those who have killed refuse to haunt you, the country itself, the institutions at one point or there, we also ensure that justice is done. Now that he has been arrested, it's not the end. He's going to get a successor. So I think it's a combination of our government doing a lot of diligent work to ensure that they have kind of a profile of these court organizations, identify their leaders. Those that can be rehabilitated should be rehabilitated through education, through constructive engagement. And those that that refuse, to leave this kind of evil organization has to be dealt with, through the means of, through the law. I remember when Obasanjo came in 1999, he started a program of trying to bring it together, but it didn't last long because vested political interests also against the opposition. They were not interested in genuinely addressing that problem of cultism. It's a major problem because you cannot have a prosperous country where armed guns, armed non-state control. Imagine the kind of weapons that were found with him. AK-47, rifles, pistols, shams, and even human skull. So I think it's a big challenge that we need to deal with in this country.
And indeed,